Okay, so I've had time now to sit and think about my thoughts on a potential rework, and my mind was set on not needing one at all for the shape, besides a couple of additional add-ons to help him stalk faster from afar. Then the PTB came out with 5 changes to Mikey's base kit, and 5 changes to his add-ons. Now the update has come and gone, and Myers is now even more intense and more of an intimidating threat to every survivor in every trial he steps into. One of those 5 changes was exactly what I wanted. Now, it wasn't an additional add-on to help him stalk faster from afar, but it was one of the 5 changes they did make to his base kit, increasing his stalk rate multiplier from 0.1 to 1. Here's an example with no add-ons so you can see how fast it is now. One of the other 4 changes to the shape's base kit that were just introduced affected its close stalk multiplier, decreasing it from 1 to 0.4. You can see it's a pretty slow grind to gain that evil up close. It's just another reason I'll be gaining evil from afar. Now, the amount of evil needed to reach evil within 2 is now set at 3, previously being set at 5. Then the stock points per survivor was doubled from 10 to 20. I was not expecting that change at all. Then the creepiest change came in the form of increasing Mikey's tier 1 speed to 4.4, previously being 4.2. So all of the 5 changes to the shape's base kit made it from the PTB to the live servers. Now on to the add-on changes. Tuft of Hair, Judas Tombstone, and Tombstone Piece now need double the amount of evil within gained before they can be activated. Lock of Hair now has the required amount of evil within cut in half from 100% to 50. The last change to the shape's add-ons was the Scratch Mirror, reducing tier 1 movement speed to 4.2. Strategy going forward. What happens to my strategy with the shape post PTB changes? Well, the changes that were made to Myers' base kit will change my game plan going into each match now for the better. I'm the type of player that plays the killer to their strength, so this increase to the evil within 1 movement speed just plays right into my arsenal even more. I just love sneaking up on survivors who are doing a generator and just snatch them right off of it. The scare factor that play offers is just so movie-like to me, and I'm all for it. So being able to have faster movement speed to get around the map undetectable just means I can do this to survivors at a more rapid pace. Although I really do like being sneaky and staying in tier 1, so I like the idea of using Scratch Mirror to be able to see survivors' auras when I'm within 32 meters of them. It's a different type of mindset knowing you know your targets move 100% of the time. Being able to see their auras way more often just makes it that much easier to find them and scare the hell right out of them. So my strategy for sneaking up on survivors doing any kind of action would still be the same. I would use Scratch Mirror to see survivors' auras within 32 meters and Boyfriend's Memo to increase the shape's lunge by 50%. Now if I want to go around the map and go for the kill and stay in tier 1, then I'm not using Scratch Mirror. I'll be using Boyfriend's Memo and Glass Fragment so I can have an increased lunge attack and still have some aura reading ability, but mainly I would be utilizing the speed increase that's been given to the shape while he's in tier 1. That covers my strategy for the changes in Scratch Mirror. Now on to the stalking changes of my strategy. Normally I would try and stalk from afar, but the multiplier wouldn't be able to gain evil from survivors fast enough. So because of this, I would have to get closer to gain evil within faster. But when I would do this, survivors would either see Michael coming or hear his breath because I was too close. This would make them run as fast as they could, breaking line of sight. Now with the buff to the shape's multiplier being increased from 0.4 to 1, this will help me work my strategy with Myers more efficiently by being able to gain evil within from survivors much faster. So I won't have to get nearly as close to survivors to gain that evil without having to waste my time getting a good angle around a loop, a jungle gym, or a TNL wall. In combination with the fact that the devs have also doubled the amount of evil that can be gained from survivors from 10 to 20, and the amount of evil now required to reach evil within 2 is now decreased from 5 to 3. So by the devs doubling the amount of evil that can be gained and having it be able to be gained faster from afar, I know I'm going to be laying low in the distance gaining evil, loading up Myers' power gauge, reaching his most deadliest tier. I really like this buff. It's deadly, it's devious, and drives his hunter mentality into overdrive even more. This is gonna be a stalk fest and a brutal tier 3 Michael Myers bloody massacre. Last point on the base kit changes to my strategy I'll be putting into play more is not wasting time trying to stalk survivors up close as much, but rather hit them and then stalk them as they run away. allowing the multiplier to help me gain evil faster the further away they get from me. Now, as far as the shape's add-ons, Fragrant Tuft of Hair, Judas Tombstone, and Tombstone Piece, the evil amount needed to activate these insane OP add-ons is now doubled, but for me, it won't matter. It fits into my playstyle of stalking from afar really well, so unsuspecting survivors won't know I'm around, giving me more time to stalk them. And with the amount of evil being able to be gained from them being doubled, and using J. Myers' Memorial, I feel getting the required amount of evil within gained to activate these add-ons won't be hard at all. So really, this is just a plus for me. Lock of Hair is now decreased with the amount of evil required to activate it by 50%. I'm not sure why the devs would do this considering it's such a powerful add-on, but as a Mikey main, it's all good to me. So the increase of stock points per survivor I feel is a massive advantage for its evil within being activated and loading up those add-ons even faster. So whether it's the capability to be able to increase the amount of time to be able to stay in tier 3 by 40 seconds with Lock of Hair, or being able to kill a healthy or injured survivor by Mikey's hands with Judith's Tombstone or Tombstone Piece, becoming obsessed with seeing each survivor suffering in the dying state before being sacrificed to the entity with Fragrant Tuft of Hair, it's not gonna really matter now because activating these add-ons would be so much easier and I'll be utilizing them way more often. So all of these changes are gonna make me an even more vicious, unrelenting, and brutal killer every time I step into the fog with the shape. My playstyle feels much more smooth and natural with these changes. I can just play the shape more comfortably and more so like he is in the movies, which is really why I bought the chapter in the first place, to be able to put on the mask of evil and pick up that massive kitchen knife and go hunting for victims. The overall feel, vibe, and energy is just so much better, and I can honestly say that these changes that Behavior has made, I'm completely happy with. I'm hoping that the devs realize when they have created a really OP killer that they don't need to completely obliterate them like they did with the Nightmare when they decide to make changes. Which, by the way, I have a very in-depth video on my all-time favorite slasher, the Dream Demon Freddy Krueger, coming up. That video will include every single change I would make to him to make him more like he really should be. So this time I'm completely in favor of Behavior demolishing a killer and starting over from scratch. So be on the lookout for that video. So that's it. Those are all my thoughts on the newly implemented changes for the shape and how they impact my strategy playing him going forward. Now that he's out and there's been time to play him, what are your thoughts on the newest version of the shape? Let me know in the comments. Before I go though, if you enjoyed the content and would like to see more, then please consider hitting the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to be notified when new content drops on the channel. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time here at Creepy Clips.